Welcome to Bangla City SATV News. This is Nuri Alamin with the headlines. Prime Minister to address the nation at 7 p.m. today, marking 3 years of current tenure of Awami League government. Election commissioners to include unidentified individuals in the voters' list and issue national ID cards. Today marks the 11th anniversary of Felani Khatun killing. A family is still waiting for justice. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will address the nation at 7 p.m. today to mark the completion of the Awami League government's third year in the office in present term. Prime Minister Press Secretary Ihsanul Karim told media today. Her speech will be broadcast by Bangladesh Television, Bangladesh Betar and private TV channels and radio stations as well. Sheikh Hasina was sworn in as the Prime Minister for the fourth time, third in a row on January 7, 2019 after her party, Bangladesh Awami League, secured a landslide victory in the general elections held on December 30, 2018. Election commissioners yesterday said changes in the existing legal framework are essential to include unidentified individuals whose parents were unknown in the voters' list and issue NID cards for them. There is no place for these people in the current system. The legal framework needs to be changed. Without NID or parents' identification, they are being deprived for many services, said Chief Election Commissioner K.M. Nurul Huda at a workshop today. Election Commission organized the workshop on eliminating the complexity of registering names of unidentified persons in the voter list. CEC Nurul Huda said that if the constitution is to be compiled with, there is no scope to exclude several lakhs of unidentified individuals from the voters list. Today marks the 11th anniversary of Felani Khatun killing. On this day, in 2018, Bangladesh woke up to the dreadful image of the teenage girl hanging from the barbed fence at the Indian border. However, Felani's murder case is still pending in the Supreme Court of India. It has not yet been included in the justice of the judicial list. Her family is still waiting for the proper justice. Indian Border Security Force BSF member Amia Ghosh fired shots and 15-year-old Felani died on the spot. She was trying to come Bangladesh with her father from India through the Amantapur border of the Kurigram by crossing the barbed wire fences. After remaining hanging for 4.5 hours from the border fence, her body was taken away by the BSF. It was handed over to the border guard Bangladesh BGP 30 hours after the incident. The rescue operation of trawler hit by a launch capsized in the Dhaleshwari River in Narayanganj continues for a third day. Meanwhile, the district administration has opened an investigation into mild river collision, said the Deputy Commissioner. It will submit its report within 10 business days, he also said. Officials of the different government agencies, including the River Police, Fire Service and Coast Guard, are in the panel as well. However, the Fire Service said it will continue its search efforts until all of the missing persons are still to be found. Viewers, we're taking a short break. Stay with Bangla City SATV News. Welcome back, and you are watching Bangla City SATV News. Now we bring the international story updates. Massive unrest in Kazakhstan continues as local media reports say 18 law enforcement personnel were killed and hundreds others injured due to riots in Almaty. Police said more than 120 police cars, fire engines and ambulances were burned by the protesters, while over 300 shops, restaurants and offices were damaged as well. Kazakhstan's authoritarian leader says he has told security forces to fire without warning amid a violent crackdown on anti-government protesters. The presidential residence and the mayor's office in the city were both set ablaze. The city's airport is now under the control after the running confrontation between the protesters and the troops on the streets, more than 2,000 people have been arrested. The widespread protests were triggered by recent fuel price hikes. Kazakhstan's President Tokayev called the unrest a terrorist threat and appealed for the international assistance. However, the Kazakhstan's government is restoring vehicle fuel price caps for the 6 months. Petrol and diesel prices will also be capped for the same period. Meanwhile, India said there was no material change in the situation that would allow holding of the stalled SAARC summit days after Pakistan reiterated its offer to host it. However, Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said Islamabad was ready to host the summit and that India could attend it virtually if it doesn't want to participate in person. The SAARC has not been very effective since the 2016 as its biennial summit have not taken place since the last one in Kathmandu in 2014. The summit was called off after Bangladesh, Bhutan and Afghanistan also declined to participate in the Islamabad meet. SAARC is a regional bloc comprising India, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, the Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Another story from Pakistan. Islamabad gets its first female Supreme Court judge, Aisha Malik. A commission that decides on the promotion of judges voted to make 55-year-old Justice Aisha Malik the first female judge on the Supreme Court in the 75 years since the country's independence. The 9-member body that was to confirm her appointment turned down her elevation of the top court last year. And Thursday's repeat vote was also close, divided 5 the votes to the 4. Many lawyers and even judges in the forum and outside opposed the move because they say the appointment was made in the contravention of seniority list without any sets of the selection criteria. However, netizens rejoice as Justice Aisha Malik gets the nod for the Supreme Court elevation. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the Omicron variants should not be dismissed as a mild form of COVID-19. Speaking at a press briefing in Geneva, he said record numbers of people are catching the virus, causing hospitals to become overwhelmed in many parts of the world. Just under 9.5 million new COVID-19 cases were reported to the WHO last week, a 71% on-week increase. This comes as Europe as well as the North, Central and South Americans are seeing a drastic surge in Omicron cases. Data, however, show the numbers of deaths is declining. Due to the Omicron, the European Union reported over 1 million new cases on Wednesday. A record single day has to be risen. The international airport at Amritsar witnessed chaos on Thursday as a chartered flight from the Rome landed with 179 passengers, of whom 125 tested positive for COVID-19. While the 13 of the passengers were from Amritsar, the biggest group of 26 was from Halashpur in the state, 10 from Haryana and 1 each from Rajasthan and Jammu and Kashmir. The situation at the airport turned tense as a war of words ensured between the administration and this passenger who said that all of them had produced negative COVID-19 reports before boarding the flight and that it was highly unlikely that so many of them had tested positive on arrival. The UK Health Security Agency has confirmed someone in Britain has contracted the H5 bird flu as the country battles its largest ever outbreak, the virus among the birds. Transmission of avian flu from birds to the human is very rare and has previously only occurred a small number of times in Britain, it also added. The agency noted that the risk of the wider public from avian flu remained very low, but cautioned people not to touch sick or the dead birds. Britain culled around 500,000 birds in 2021 as it's grabbed with what Environment Secretary George Estes has called the country's largest ever avian flu outbreak. Alongside culling, the government rolled out new rules in December requiring the keepers to ensure all captive birds are indoor. Geese, ducks and swans are among the wild bird species known to have been affected, while a number of birds of prey are also confirmed to have been died. Dubai Port's giant DP World is set to build an island port in the Indian-held Jammu and Kashmir, said New Delhi. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha in Dubai this week to promote investments said DP World would soon visit the 250-acre site earmarked for the island port facility. Media reports that Dubai developer Emaar Properties would build a mall in the Srinagar, but investment in the heavily militarized the region of the fraught with risk. There are frequent attacks by the anti-India fighters, while the Indian government had at times faced international criticism for the widespread crackdown by the army. Serbian tennis star Novak Djokovic, who was denied entry into Australia to take part in one of the biggest tennis tournaments of the season, is now being kept in quarantine at a hotel in Melbourne. The world #1 tennis player remains in Australia after his lawyer launched an appeal seeking to overturn the federal government decision, as the court agreed not to deport him before a full hearing scheduled for the next Monday. And Djokovic's mother slammed the decision to keep him at a hotel chosen by the government and not to one Djokovic booked. Djokovic was denied entry to the country following criticism of the earlier decision to exempt him from the COVID-19 vaccine requirement for the Australian Open. Meanwhile, Australian top officials said Djokovic is not being held captive there. The International Cricket Council on Friday announced that slow over rate in T20 internationals will result in a fielder less outside of the 30-yard circle for the remaining overs of the innings starting this month. The governing body also introduced an optional drinks interval midway through the innings in the bilateral T20 international cricket as part of its updated playing conditions. The in-match penalties are in addition to the sanctions for slow over rate outlined in Article 2.22 of the ICC Code of Conduct for the players and player support personnel. Real Madrid forward Vinicius Jr. has been named the world's most valuable footballer according to the CIES. The Brazilian is valued at €166.4 million, beating Phil Foden and Erling Haaland at the top spot. It has been a remarkable start of the season for him. He has taken his time to find his feet, but has now become one of the world's most dangerous forwards. He has contributed 12 goals and 9 assists in 25 appearances this season across both La Liga and the Champions League. Before ending, we go through Bangla City SATV News headlines again. Prime Minister to address the nation at 7 p.m. today, marking 3 years of current tenure of Awami League government. Election commissioners to include unidentified individuals in the voters' list and issue national ID cards. Today marks the 11th anniversary of Felani Khatun killing. Family is still waiting for justice. You are up to date with the Bangla City SATV News, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.